Hello world, welcome back to Razor RC. It's time to do another heads up comparison review. This time I'm going to be reviewing the TLR 22T 4.0 there on the left against the Team Associated T6.1. Now these are 1/10 scale electric stadium trucks. These are race kits. You don't really bash with these. I've owned both these trucks for a while now and want to give you my thoughts and opinions on which one is better, right? That's really what you want to know. Now some disclaimers. I purchased these vehicles myself. Everything you see in front of you is something I bought. Nothing was given to me for free or even discounted. So, hopefully that provides an unbiased, honest, and complete opinion. That's what I strive for here at Razor RC. Now, the TLR 22T 4.0 has been out since, I think came out in December of 2017, and the Team Associated I think came out around June-ish of 2018. So I've had these kits for a little while now, and it's time to do the review. So the first category I wanted to talk about is the build, and TLR 22T 4.0, I was actually converted from my 3.0 build. I bought all the parts for the 4.0 and upgraded to 4.0 spec. The T6.1, I converted over from my SC 6.1. They share almost all exactly the same parts, just different chassis and body mounts and stuff. So these were actually conversion kits. However, in general, the TLR definitely builds a lot better in my opinion. The parts all come bagged, labeled A through whatever N or something like that. And you don't have to cut any of the parts off parts trees. You just do one bag at a time, you do one step at a time, and everything's nice and complete. The body is pre-cut, the kit comes with wheels. So overall, a really, really nice build. Not too many complaints really. The T6.1 on the other hand, the parts still come on parts trees, so you need some flush cutters. You're going to be spending more time trimming stuff. The body has to be trimmed. The manual is a little bit better for me. The TLRs come with an international version of the manual, so there's not really a whole lot of text. Everything's just got pictures and diagrams and stuff like that, whereas the Team Associated comes with an English-specific manual, so it's a little easier for me to read and follow. So I do like the manual better on the Team Associated, but overall, I think the TLR builds a lot better than the T6.1, so I'm going to pick the TLR as a winner in that category. The design of these two trucks are somewhat similar. I mean, most two-wheel drive kits nowadays are fairly similar. They feature aluminum chassis, lay-down transmissions, shocks that can move on to the front or rear of the rear shock tower, all those standard adjustments, shock locations, camber link locations. So yeah, very similar overall. The T6.1 is obviously based off the B6.1, so it's got all the B6.1 type features like the carbon fiber shock towers, the multiple transmission options, 4-gear, 3-gear, lay down, lay back. It's got the tri-split transmission, allows you to get to the differential very easily. It's kind of got that pass-through slipper adjustment where the spring and nut are on one side and the slipper is on the other side. T6.1 is a little more traditional two-wheel drive buggy. Still has a traditional slipper layout. Still uses plastic shock towers. It does feature one thing that's a little different. It's got the VLA arms, which actually allow you to adjust the pivot point of the caster blocks and spindles within the arms, so you can basically effectively shorten or lengthen the arms. That's the main advantage I think of the TLR. Overall though, I think the T6.1 has a better design. It's got a lot of nice features like the reverse bell crank system that the TLR does not have. It's got a little bit better slipper layout in my opinion, and top shaft. I'm really not a fan of the top shaft and slipper on the TLRs. They use these really skinny rods there on the top shaft, so it's hard to crank down that nut without sort of getting the spring sort of distorted or an angle, so the spur tends to spin not quite as smoothly. The transmission you do have to pull out if you want to get at the differential, so you got to pull the whole transmission, you got to split the transmission case, and then finally get out your transmission. So maintenance is a little bit more difficult. So overall, design wise, I do like the T6.1 a lot better. I think it's easier to work on. I think it has more adjustments overall. You know, it's got the inserts on the rear arms that allow you to sort of get in between holes on the shock mounting locations. It's got adjustable axle height front and back. So overall, I think it's just a better design, a little bit cleaner. It's got the reverse ball cranks, whereas the ball cranks on the TLR I'm not a big fan of either. They basically are carrying over the sliding ball crank system that they had on the original 1.0. And you can see like everything is like super tight, like the ball cranks barely clear the servo horn. Also, it's got these aluminum posts, which are nice, but the problem is when you're tightening down these screws inside, it tends to kind of spin those posts on the bell crank, so that's kind of annoying. Yeah, so overall, you know, the T6.1's got a little bit better battery adjustment. This one you still got to use like foam spacers and stuff. So overall, I like the design of the T6.1 better. Okay, now we go on to the main category, right? Performance, that's the big one. Which of these trucks drives better? And so performance is always kind of an interesting question because performance depends a lot on setup. And so you know, if you have a truck that's halfway decent, but you have a really awesome setup, it's going to drive a lot better than another truck that's got, you know, maybe more adjustments, maybe a better truck overall, but with a really poor setup, it's going to drive like, you know, crap. So keep that in mind when I talk about this, but the kit setup on the TLR 22T 4.0 is definitely really good. I'm actually running the Frankfurt setup, which is even better. I mean, it's super dialed, at least for indoor clay. The T6.1 came out, you know, about 5 months ago. Setups are still being worked on. There's not as much information or you know, basically setups that are already dialed, so you do have to do a little bit of work. The kit setup I don't think is particularly good. I think TLR and Team Associated have a little bit different styles when it comes to designing their kits. I kind of feel like TLR actually comes with a base model like the 1.0 version and then just kind of iterates and makes it better and better over time. They just test, tune, come up with some new parts, throw it together, and then, you know, basically each version is always better than the previous. With Team Associated, I kind of feel like their design or release philosophy is a little bit different. It seems like they actually just kind of build as many adjustments into the car as possible to make it as flexible as possible. And then they don't really worry about the setup. They just release the car and then kind of expect people to kind of figure out, you know, what the best setup is within that parameter box. So if you kind of think of a car as a box and all the different adjustments you can make, it'll move around in the box. Team Associated kind of builds a big box and then throws the truck in there and hopes that the team drivers and pros and, you know, the regular customers and stuff can kind of figure out how to best set up the truck within that box. TLR, you know, I kind of feel like the kit steps tend to be better. They kind of tend to work better out of the box, and you know, when you throw it down on the track, works better. So in the performance category, let's talk about in all the different areas. Acceleration, braking, TLR is just dialed, tons of rear traction. You know, I did throw in a few little weights there in the rear, but that just stabilizes the rear end a ton. Tons of rear traction, you can just go, no issues there. It's also quite stable under braking. The T6.1, the kit setup's not particularly good. It does tend to want to swap ends under braking. It does tend to not quite have as much rear traction as you would like. You definitely will want to like play with the rear end, trying to get more rear traction. In terms of jumping and landing, the TLR is awesome. I mean, it jumps very neutral. Doesn't chassis slap, doesn't wheelie or anything like the old 3.0 used to do off the jumps. You know, the rear end would kind of slap down and then kick up the nose. It also lands super nice. So whatever it is about the TLR shocks, they are better in my opinion. They're super smooth, they're very plush, very planted. You don't really need to upgrade anything. You just run these with whatever the appropriate oils and it's gonna work really well. T6.1 in my opinion does not jump and land quite as well. It's a little less stable through the air. Definitely does not land quite as well. You know, it's kind of got this weird combination of too much pack and then it just kind of upsets the truck. I think people will probably figure things out with different shock pistons and oils combinations, but as far as all the setups I've seen so far, it still does not land quite as well as the TLR. And then the last area is cornering. The TLR, very neutral, just perfect steering, doesn't push mid-corner, doesn't oversteer. You can get on the throttle really well. So steering is just awesome on this truck. I mean, I think the Frank root setup is just dialed in my opinion. T6.1, you do have to do some work to kind of get it working quite right. Tends to push out of the box. Definitely need to get some like +1 steering arms, and then it'll drive a little better, but it just doesn't arc quite as well, at least with the setups I've tried so far, and basically the current knowledge and sort of knowledge database that is out there today. So in the performance category, I think the TLR drives better. If you're the kind of guy that just wants to build it and run, TLR is definitely going to drive much better out of the box. If you're the person that likes to tune and try every possible combination of setups and adjustments and basically spend a lot of time trying to get your truck working exactly the way you want it, maybe the T6.1 is better, but overall I have not seen a setup on this that outperforms the TLR. And just kind of a case in point, this year's Roar Nationals 2018 here in the United States, Dakota Fenn won the Stadium Truck Open class, and he was up against all the top Team Associated guys, Spencer Rifkin, Ryan Cavallari, Dustin Evans, all those guys. They were all running the T6.1, but they were nowhere near the speed of Dakota Fenn with the TLR 22T 4.0. I mean, I think he was like something like a second a lap faster, easily outqualified everyone, won the first two mains, and just took home the trophy. So I'm not saying that maybe Dakota might be a better driver or anything like that, but if you just go based off race results, TLR has been clearly better in the hands of the pros than the T6.1. Now, T6.1, maybe they'll figure stuff out. That was a brand new kit. I'm sure it'll improve over time. They'll probably get different parts and stuff like that, different setups. But as it is today, I think the TLR is the best performer. Okay, the next category is durability. And the T6.1 has proven to be a super durable truck. Much like the B6.1, much like the B6, I really haven't broken anything on this truck. I mean, I have heard of people telling me they've broken spindles and stuff, but overall, I find it to be super durable, a very good design. The plastics, the carbon fiber shock tires, whatever, they all seem to be kind of the right blend of stiffness and flexibility. The TLR on the hand, reasonably durable, but not perfect. I've definitely broken basically the front axle inserts here. I have bent many turnbuckles. I bent a chassis on my 3.0. I didn't damage the 4.0, so I can't say that that's really worse, but overall the TLR just does seem to be a little more fragile than the T6.1. Some people have problems with turnbuckles popping off. I haven't had too much problems with that, although I have had turnbuckles pop off in the past. Yeah, so overall, I think the Team Associated is the better truck in the durability platform. So if you crashed a lot, the T6.1 is probably the way to go. In terms of maintenance, the T6.1 is definitely easier to work on, even just by virtue of the transmission case. You can easily get at the diff height inserts just by removing a few screws on top of the transmission, pop that off. Overall, the maintenance is fairly similar between the two, as it is with most two-wheel drive vehicles, but I do like working on the T6.1 a little better. I think the parts and stuff fit a little bit better together, easier to get at stuff. The only one downside is basically these rear body mounts. I did kind of Dremel out some sides so I can actually get at the transmission screws here on the top. But other than that, working on the T6.1 I think is a little better. In terms of support, it's really hard to beat Team Associated. They have the most parts distribution. I feel like their inventory seems to be a little bit better, whereas TLR, sometimes you can't get parts for a few months while they're still ramping up production in Taiwan or Asia or wherever they're doing it. So TLR also is probably a little bit less popular of a kit, at least here in the United States. So not as many parts hanging on the walls at tracks and local hobby stores as Team Associated. Team Associated is almost ubiquitous. So overall, I do think support of Team Associated is a little bit better. Also, there's more setup sheets, just more stuff, more team drivers you can talk to, more pros even, I guess, than TLR. So yeah, overall, I think Team Associated has the better support. The TLR 22T 4.0 sells for $329.99 here in the United States. The T6.1 sells for $339.99 here in the United States. So the Team Associated is $10 more. There are some nicer touches on the Team Associated. It's got the carbon fiber shock towers, a little bit more aluminum bits here and there, you know, with the basically the servo mounts, the inserts here, shock standoffs and stuff. But in terms of the TLR, it's got better shocks. So it's got all machined internals, all aluminum shock bodies, including the caps. So it also has all the parts pre-cut for you. They're all pre-bagged for you. The body is pre-cut. It comes with wheels. Team Associated, you cut your own body, and it comes with this really thin body. It has no wheels at all, so you got to buy wheels. So you're gonna have to spend a little bit more. So in terms of the value, I think the TLR is a little bit better. A little bit cheaper. I actually think you still get more in the box even compared to the Team Associated, even if they were the same price. So in terms of value, I think the TLR is the winner. Okay, so it's time to pick a winner. I've talked about a bunch of different categories, and what's my overall conclusion? Which truck do I think is best? Now the TLR obviously has some advantages. The Team Associated has advantages, namely better design, better durability, maybe a little bit better instruction manual, better support. The TLR's got better performance, a little bit better value. So overall, which of these two trucks would I buy if I were to pick one up today? I gotta go with the TLR 22T 4.0. Now, obviously the Team Associated is better in some areas, but when it comes down to the most important stuff, which is namely the performance, I do feel like the TLR does drive better. They've got this thing dialed. It just works really, really well. I had the 2.0, I had the 3.0, and you know, obviously now I have the 4.0, and I've seen it just improve over time. The T6.1, it's a good truck. But I kind of feel like Team Associated just kind of built this thing and threw it out there, and you know, are relying on people to try to figure out how to use it. Even at my local track, one of the fastest guys still running a T5M. So you know, everyone else has moved on to the T6.1, but that kind of means, you know, maybe this thing is not quite dialed yet. People are still working on setup. I certainly am. You know, I'm trying different things, like as you can see, I got this super thick rear shock tower that kind of helps reduce some flex and adds a little bit of weight on the rear. But yeah, overall, you know, when it comes to the most important things, I think the TLR is a better truck. I think it drives better. There are some areas where I think the Team Associated might shine. You know, like 13.5 is a little bit easier to get lightweight parts, lightweight axles and transmission parts and stuff like that. Whereas the TLR, it's a little bit harder to do that. So there are some areas where Team Associated has an advantage in terms of performance just through the aftermarket. But at the end of the day, you know, you want the truck that drives better, and it's clearly faster. You know, it's not like you can get this close or get this within a tenth or so, at least with the same driver. I think most people will probably find they're a little bit quicker with this truck. So that's my pick for the truck of the year. I'm going to go with the TLR 22T 4.0. Now, obviously, there are other trucks out there, the X-Ray, what's called the XT2. There's also Kyosho that's got a truck, and then Yokomo's got a YZ2T that just got released. I have not owned or driven those cars, so I couldn't tell you if they're better than these two. But in terms of the two that I've owned and kind of the Chevy Ford of the RC world, I'm gonna go with the TLR. So anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe to my channel. As always, hit the add notifications button. I hope you'd enjoy this video. Throw down a comment below. Let me know what you think about these tracks. And that's it. Thanks for watching.